What's up, guys? Today we're going to be taking a look at something that offers an optional offline mesh network for communications, secure communications, to a point. And we're going to take a look at this today. This is my real first day actually looking at this, and I am planning on setting this up on the channel. So I will be exploring more of this with you, and with times like today where we're seeing what feels like the potential beginning of a world war, well, we should have options for offline mesh network communications, because at any point in time, if infrastructure were hit for any reason, you could lose the internet in some capacity. Now, of course, it's likely there would still be some availability of course, internet connectivity, but it may be limited. You never really know what's going to happen. So let's talk a little bit about this mesh network option called Bitchat. Now, as soon as I saw this ASCII art here, I was immediately reminded of Bitchat, which Bitchat, if you're not familiar, is an ASCII art featured IRC client. And since we've been going over IRC, it kind of reminded me of Bitchat while we were talking about that. And then I also was reminded of Jack Dorsey's creation, at least in part. He helped to fund the creation of Bitchat. So this uses Bluetooth offline to allow you to communicate. Now there's a white paper here which you're welcome to go through everything in detail, but I really wanted to go down to the security considerations because of course that is the most important part, because I do plan on setting this up. And the nice thing is it's not only available for your phone, so if you have an iPhone, if you have an Android, you can set it up on that, but even if you had a Linux phone, you could set it up on a terminal based. In fact, I am actually compiling this as we speak. So in future coming videos, I'm going to be showing it, but you can see what it looks like on the terminal based option here. And this is not, I don't believe this is an officially associated option, but this is what it would look like. So it reminds you a bit of IRC if you have any familiarity with chat clients such as Bitchat, as I mentioned for IRC. But in this way, you don't even need the internet. You have Bluetooth, which can allow you to connect to people nearby. Now keep in mind there are limitations to Bluetooth. You may only get 30 feet of distance, so you may need someone 30 feet away in order to connect into it as a mesh network and to communicate. Now there are some cool features about this, and we're taking a look over here. So over here is, I believe, the official GitHub permissionless tech Bitchat. And as you can see, it's been forked quite a few times, 25,000 stars. So this is quite popular. And this only really came out in the last year, so it's not something that's been around. This is something that reminded me of Briar, if you're familiar at all with Briar, which is also an option for Bluetooth to Bluetooth communication. Now what makes this interesting is it offers these features here. So you have Bluetooth mesh for offline and Nostr protocol for internet-based messaging. So you have the option to communicate both in a world where maybe you don't have internet connectivity or there's internet censorship, but since you have the Bluetooth mesh network capabilities with encrypted chats and everything like that, you will have an option for a more secure, now I'm not saying it's foolproof, I still need to dig into potential security implications a little deeper on the current one, because there's a lot of old videos that talk about impersonation and stuff like that that we should be aware of, but I don't know if that has been fixed or not, so I don't want to jump the gun on that. But as you can see, the features include a Bluetooth mesh for offline and Nostr protocol for internet-based messaging. Now, you do have to have your location on, so on your phone, and that's so that other users who have the actual Bitchat client running can actually, and it acts like a router, they have to be able to find you, of course, and that is part of it. That is part of how it's going to route everything. So it has location-based channels, so you can find people who are nearby you. So chat rooms that have to do with your area. I feel like everybody needs to download this now. Just download it right now to your phone. Just have it for safekeeping. Maybe you don't feel like using it right now, but it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it, as the saying goes. So it says it has intelligent messaging routing, so it automatically chooses the best protocol for transport, such as Bluetooth if it's nearby, mesh users that can interact with your mesh device as well, or a fallback on Nostr protocol. So then you have a decentralized mesh network. So it offers automatic peer discovery, multi-hop messaging. Now this can support up to 7 hops. That is a nice benefit there. So that means you won't be just direct messaging people necessarily, but you can have it pass through 7 other users of Bitchat before it reaches the destination. Now, of course, it's privacy first, so you don't need an account, you don't need a phone number, there's no persistent identifiers that are required for this. So it's set it up on your own, as it says, permissionless tech. So you have private messaging with end-to-end encryption, the noise protocol for mesh, and then it mentions for the Nostr NIP17 IRC style command. So this is obviously inspired by IRC. As I mentioned, it reminded me a lot of the BitchX client for IRC. So you can do /slap, do actions, things like that. If you're familiar at all with IRC, you can do little actions like /message to send a message. You can do a /who is and find out information about an IRC user. Well, this is going to be for the chats that are on this. So in this way, this is an example window for the one that would run on your Linux machine. So if you have a Linux device, no matter what it is, I'm actually compiling it right as we speak for my PineTab 2. That is a test device that I'm using. And I also wanted to test out some of the reliability on the Wi-Fi there, and so far so good. The PineTab 2, the ARM version, seems to be very reliable with Wi-Fi so far in my experience. So I wanted to do some testing with that and also check out if it would just compile with all defaults out of the box. So native support for iOS and macOS. So this is something that you can get on nearly any device. So I do recommend downloading a version for your device right now. Just have it, and we'll be covering more on this app in the coming videos. So I may just be going over what it is today so you can learn, some of the benefits here. As it mentions, the multi-hops, which you can have a max of 7 hops. So it routes through nearby devices in this way. So it may jump from one, then to the next, similar to how Tor and I2P communicate through various hops before they reach the destination with their messaging. No internet's required. Of course, it's perfect in disaster scenarios and let's hope there's no world war, but it's good to have things like this, and that's why I thought today is a perfect day to introduce Bitchat with you guys, just because things are getting a bit out of control in the world stage, in the Middle East, in all of these conflicts that we have going on right now. We should all have mesh network options just in case. And I do recommend Bitchat, and here's why I say that. Now, there's so many other options out there. You're familiar with LoRa and all that, but how many people are going to have that? And you're going to need, of course, that can go farther and everything, but most people are more likely, in my personal opinion, to get something like Bitchat. So if you want to be able to communicate with the people who are not technically minded, it is more likely, in my personal opinion, that you'll be able to be more likely to communicate with them in a time of emergency if you had something like Bitchat. Because only so many people are going to have a LoRa device or a Meshtastic. Sure, it's getting much more popular, but I think having something native to your main devices is always going to be ideal, just because that's what's more likely going to be used by friends and family of yours, because they have the same device that's capable to install it without any command line, without any setup or understanding of radio. Noise protocol encryption, end-to-end encryption that offers perfect forward secrecy. So forward secrecy that helps to prevent something from being compromised because it's changing things. And the binary protocol, so compact packet format, optimized for Bluetooth constraints. So it's automatically going to offer peer discovery. So you're going to have global reach because you have the Nostr protocol. So even if some areas are out of internet, you're going to still be able to communicate using the mesh network that's going to help to transport some of this into the chats around the world. And this is my first time going over this, so here we are. Just taking a look. This shows how to set it up on Mac. Brew command is very commonly used and referenced on a Mac. Let's go to the next page here. Here's another option I found, but I can't vouch for this. I don't know anything about this. This looks like yet another option possibly for a Raspberry Pi option, and I actually just got gifted, shout out to my friend Pedro who gifted me something really cool, so I might be breaking out another fun device coming up. So this is just going over this particular, basically the same stuff we were reading about. Here's what it'll look like. I'm not going to drag this video out too long, but I did want to go over it with you guys, and here is a nice little article that just tells you it doesn't need the internet, so we'll skim through this, see if anything new and exciting comes up. So there's several advantages, of course, privacy, there's no central server. So think about internet censorship and the risk that comes with internet censorship. Yeah, sure, you have options like Tor, I2P, you have options like Valid now, you have all kinds of different options that could be beneficial to you, but you still have to rely on the internet for those things. And just having an offline mesh network option, I think, is perfect. So all of these, these case examples, whether it's an activist, a journalist in regions with censorship or surveillance where, you can't really rely on the internet infrastructure for everything. In some areas, bridges get blocked on Tor. So many different possibilities or things can go wrong. It's always good to have backup mesh network options, especially in times where things feel so uncertain like this. So this is something we'll be exploring. Did want to introduce it today, just show you kind of what the point of it is and why I recommend getting it. It also mentions other similar apps, or at least relatable apps with mesh networking. So there's BridgeFi, and Briar is one that I'm familiar with that I also have. It's a good idea to get both, I say. Get Briar, get Bitchat, and get a LoRa device if you feel up to a Meshtastic or something like that. But I do believe that my take is that most people are going to be looking for something that works out of the box on their native device, their daily driver, and you're not just going to want to communicate with your fellow geeks. You're going to want to be able to communicate with friends and family, with all kinds of people. So I do believe this is a perfect option to download today, and we will be taking a closer look at it. Just want to do a brief introduction video, so we'll be talking about this soon. I'm going to finish compiling it on the Pine Tab 2 just as a test device. Then I'm going to set up another device, so we'll be able to take a look at how they communicate together, and I look forward to sharing that with you guys. Make sure to share the video, help spread Bitchat so that everyone downloads it, so that we have it when we need it, if we need it, instead of need it and not have it. I will see you guys soon in a video on Bitchat, and we will actually be using it in a coming video. Make sure to share the video, spread awareness, help get people to download Bitchat, and make sure to like it, leave a comment, let me know, have you tried Bitchat? I would love to know what you think about it. How's the reliability? Have you found that it's just too short of a distance and there's just nobody around you? That is what I initially found at this time, but I do believe it's going to grow much more popular as time goes on, as various events happen in the world. I think that people are going to gravitate towards things that work on their native device, out of the box, without any kind of technical knowledge. So that's my take. Let me know what you think in the comments, share the video, like it, subscribe so you don't miss anything, and I'll see you guys soon in another video on how to protect your security and privacy.